In every hidden corner of our extraordinary world, from the deepest reaches of the sunless ocean to the sun-dappled floor of the most ancient rainforest, life is profoundly interconnected. It is bound by a series of timeless, unbroken pacts, agreements forged over millennia in the silent language of survival. These alliances form an intricate and delicate dance of give and take, a continuous flowing cycle of consumption and creation, of decay and rebirth. This is the fundamental engine that has sustained our planet's breathtaking biodiversity for eons, a complex web where the waste of one organism becomes the very sustenance for another, ensuring that nothing is ever truly lost, and everything has its purpose. Consider the vast winding rivers that carve their way through lush green landscapes, arteries of life carrying nutrients from the mountains to the sea. Sunlight filters through the dense canopy above, powering the growth of algae and plants that form the base of the food chain. These plants in turn provide shelter and food for countless species of fish and invertebrates. When these creatures expire, their bodies are broken down by microscopic organisms, releasing those same essential nutrients back into the water to fuel the next generation of life. It is a perfect self-sustaining loop, a testament to nature's profound efficiency and its inherent abhorrence of waste. This principle of mutual benefit, known as symbiosis, is visible everywhere if we only know where to look. Deep beneath the waves, in the vibrant communities of a coral reef, a small clownfish finds sanctuary from predators within the stinging tentacles of a sea anemone. The anemone, which would normally paralyze and consume a fish of this size, offers its smaller companion complete immunity. In grateful return for this safe harbor, the clownfish tirelessly cleans its host, removing parasites and luring in other small fish for the anemone to eat. It is a relationship of perfect reciprocity, a living example of how two entirely different species can evolve to not just coexist, but to actively support one another's survival and prosperity. Even beneath our very feet, on a misty forest floor, another hidden partnership is hard at work. Spreading like a vast subterranean internet, intricate networks of mycelium, the root-like structures of fungi, connect the trees and plants of the forest. These fungal threads are masters of decomposition, breaking down fallen leaves and dead wood to unlock the vital nutrients trapped within. They then share these nutrients with the trees in exchange for sugars produced through photosynthesis. This silent underground exchange allows the entire forest to thrive as a single, interconnected superorganism, sharing resources and communicating threats in a way that benefits the entire community. As these natural scenes of perfect collaboration fade, they're often replaced by a starkly different landscape, the modern city. Here, gleaming skyscrapers of steel and glass pierce the sky, monuments to human ingenuity and ambition. Below, streets hum with the constant frenetic energy of traffic, and vast grids of apartment buildings house millions of lives in close, yet often isolated proximity. While these urban environments are incredible achievements of engineering and social organization, they often create a profound sense of separation. Surrounded by concrete, asphalt, and manicured parks, it becomes increasingly easy to feel disconnected from the fundamental raw cycles of the natural world that ultimately sustain us all. We live in a world of convenience, where food appears neatly packaged on supermarket shelves, and water flows endlessly from a tap, its origins a distant and abstract concept. This separation, while comfortable, can leave a quiet void, a sense of being observers of nature rather than participants in it. We might watch breathtaking documentaries of wild places, marveling at the intricate ecosystems they portray, but the connection feels remote, like looking at a beautiful photograph of a place we may never visit. We find ourselves asking a quiet, persistent question: can we somehow bridge this gap? Can we bring a small, tangible fragment of that wild, self-sustaining world back into our own homes? The desire for this connection manifests in small but significant ways. We fill our homes with potted plants, bringing a touch of green to our windowsills and balconies. We keep aquariums, creating miniature aquatic worlds on our desks and shelves, finding a sense of peace in watching fish glide through the water. These are admirable attempts to invite nature indoors, to care for something living and to witness its growth. Yet they often remain separate endeavors. The plants require soil, fertilizer, and constant watering. The fish tank requires filtration, chemical treatments, and frequent water changes to remove the toxic waste that the fish naturally produce. In our human-built environments, we have inadvertently broken the elegant closed loops that define the natural world. Our gardens and our fish tanks exist as two separate systems, each demanding its own inputs and producing its own waste, requiring our constant intervention to maintain a fragile balance. The waste from the fish tank is discarded, and the nutrients for the plants are bought in a bag. We have separated the consumer from the producer, the waste from the resource. This separation is the very essence of our modern disconnect, a puzzle that seems to mirror the larger challenges we face in creating a more sustainable way of life on a planetary scale. But what if there were a way to reunite these two separate worlds? What if we could build a bridge between the fish tank and the garden, allowing them to function not as two distinct hobbies, but as a single integrated whole? Here, in a simple vessel of glass and water, resting quietly in a beautifully lit living room, we find an answer. The camera slowly pushes in, revealing what at first appears to be a standard aquarium. But a closer look reveals something extraordinary. This is no ordinary fish tank, it is something more, something alive in a way that feels both ancient and revolutionary. It is a glimpse into a more connected way of living. On top of the aquarium, where one might expect to see a simple lid, sits a vibrant, thriving patch of green. Lush leaves of lettuce and fragrant basil reach towards the light, their colors a stunning contrast to the water below. There is no soil to be seen. Instead, the plant's healthy, white roots dangle freely, suspended directly in the water that flows up from the tank below. The entire system is elegant, nearly silent, and pulsing with a quiet vitality. This is aquaponics, a brilliant and beautiful synthesis where a fish tank meets a garden, and in doing so, creates a miniature self-sustaining ecosystem right in our own homes. Aquaponics presents a novel and incredibly efficient way to cultivate both fresh organic vegetables and healthy fish, all within the confines of a small apartment, a classroom, or a sunny kitchen corner. It achieves this by consciously and deliberately harnessing one of nature's most elegant and powerful partnerships, the symbiotic relationship between aquatic life and plants. It takes the fundamental principles we see at play in wild rivers and rainforests, the idea that one creature's waste is another's treasure, and scales it down into a manageable, observable, and productive system that anyone can build and maintain. The core concept is deceptively simple yet profound in its implications. The fish, living in the tank below, produce waste that is rich in ammonia. In a normal aquarium, this ammonia is toxic and must be removed. But in an aquaponics system, that ammonia-rich water is not waste at all. It is liquid fertilizer. It is pumped up to the grow bed above, where the plants eagerly absorb the nutrients through their roots. In the process of feeding themselves, the plants act as a natural living filter, purifying the water before it flows back down, clean and oxygenated, to the fish below, completing the cycle. The elegant exchange we witness between the fish below and the plants above, this perfect loop of waste becoming food, seems complete on its own. It is a simple and satisfying story of two partners working in harmony. However, this direct and beautiful partnership cannot happen on its own. There is a critical missing piece to this intricate puzzle, a third partner in this powerful alliance whose work is so fundamental, yet so completely invisible, that its importance is often overlooked. They are a vast, unseen workforce numbering in the billions, quietly orchestrating the entire process. They are the true architects of this miniature ecosystem, and without them, the entire delicate system would quickly grind to a halt and collapse into a toxic failure. As the clear, purified water flows from the grow bed back down into the tank, it carries with it the promise of a healthy environment for the fish. The camera seems to shrink, pushing past the plant roots and diving into a macro view of the grow media, the reddish-brown, porous clay pebbles that fill the bed. Here, on the massive surface area provided by these inert stones, we find the hidden engine of aquaponics. Clinging to every available nook and cranny are microscopic colonies of beneficial bacteria. They are not just passive residents of this world. They are the essential mediators, the alchemists who make the entire cycle of life possible. To build an aquaponics system is to build a home for them first and foremost. These bacterial communities are the silent, unsung heroes of our system. While we see the fish swimming and the plants growing, it is these microorganisms that perform the most crucial transformation. They bridge the chemical gap between what the fish produce and what the plants can actually consume. The relationship between fish and plants is not a direct one, it requires translation. The ammonia released by the fish is like a locked treasure chest, and the bacteria hold the only key. They are specialists divided into two distinct groups, each with a very specific and vital role to play in the grand unfolding chemical drama that is constantly taking place within the water. Understanding their role is the single most important step towards becoming a successful aquaponics steward. It shifts the focus from simply keeping fish and growing plants to actively cultivating a thriving, invisible workforce. The health of the fish and the vibrancy of the plants are merely outward indicators of the health of this foundational bacterial colony. They are the engine that drives everything. Without a robust and established population of these microscopic allies, the ammonia from the fish would remain a poison, the plants would starve for lack of accessible nutrients, and the beautiful symbiotic dream of aquaponics would remain just that, a dream. Our journey into this invisible world begins with the primary waste product of the fish, ammonia. As the fish breathe and metabolize their food, they release this nitrogen-rich compound with the chemical signature NH3 directly into the water. For the plants, however, ammonia is difficult to absorb directly and is not their preferred form of nourishment. This is where the first group of bacterial specialists, a genus known as Nitrosomonas, enters the stage to perform a remarkable feat of natural alchemy. These bacteria are chemotrophs, meaning they derive their energy not from sunlight like plants but from chemical reactions. Specifically, they have evolved to feed on the ammonia that would otherwise harm the fish. Living on every submerged surface of the system, the walls of the tank, the plumbing, and especially the vast porous landscape of the grow media, these Nitrosomonas bacteria get to work. They are the first responders in the nitrogen cycle. As the water rich in fish waste flows over them, they eagerly consume the dissolved ammonia. Through their metabolic processes, they oxidize the ammonia, stripping it of its hydrogen atoms and fundamentally altering its chemical structure. This is not just a simple act of consumption, it is a profound transformation, turning one chemical compound into another entirely. The toxic problem of ammonia is seemingly solved by this first wave of microscopic helpers. This process is the first critical step in making the nutrients from the fish available to the plants. It unlocks the nitrogen, beginning the process of turning it into a usable fertilizer. The sheer efficiency of these bacteria is astonishing. In a well-established system, a healthy colony of Nitrosomonas can convert ammonia almost as quickly as it is produced, preventing it from ever reaching dangerously high concentrations. They are the first line of defense, the gatekeepers who take a toxic substance and begin the process of turning it into a life-giving resource. Without their tireless, invisible labor, the aquaponics cycle could never even begin, and the promise of a self-sustaining ecosystem would fail at the very first hurdle. The entire system is designed to maximize the living space for these invaluable workers. The choice of grow media, like expanded clay pebbles or lava rock, is not just about providing a sterile anchor for the plant roots. It is a deliberate act of architectural design, creating a sprawling, high-surface area condominium complex for bacteria. Every tiny pore and crevice becomes a potential home for Nitrosomonas, ensuring that the population is large enough and healthy enough to handle the full biological load produced by the fish. They are the diligent, foundational workers who take the raw, dangerous material of ammonia and refine it for the next stage of the process. The Nitrosomonas bacteria, while essential, introduce a new danger nitrite, NO2. As they consume ammonia, nitrite is produced, creating a more hazardous environment. Nitrite is significantly more toxic to fish than ammonia. It binds to hemoglobin, converting it into methemoglobin, which can't carry oxygen. Fish may gasp at the surface and appear lethargic, eventually perishing if nitrite levels remain high. This temporary increase in toxicity is a natural phase in any new aquaponics system. During the initial setup, known as cycling, ammonia levels rise, then fall as nitrite levels spike. This is the most precarious stage, requiring patience as nature recruits the second team of bacteria. The accumulation of nitrite signals the need for a new solution. the high-stakes problem of nitrite is key to unlocking the final prize of the nitrogen cycle. As nitrite levels peak, Nitrobacter bacteria arrive to resolve the crisis. They thrive on nitrite, transforming it into nitrate, NO3. Nitrate is harmless to fish and a perfect nutrient for plants. Plants eagerly absorb nitrate, fueling growth. This two-step process, nitrification, is the heart of aquaponics. It turns fish waste into plant nourishment. The system becomes a living ecosystem, with clean water returning to the fish and well-fed plants above. Success in aquaponics means becoming a farmer of beneficial bacteria. Daily tasks support this invisible workforce. The health of the system reflects the health of these bacterial colonies. The story of any aquaponics system begins with its aquatic inhabitants. Fish are the engine of this tiny world, initiating the cycle of nourishment. Their biological functions matter most, absorbing oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide. Daily feeding powers the entire system, converting food into plant growth. Fish health is paramount for the system's success. Choosing the right fish and providing a stable environment is crucial. Unlike traditional aquariums, we embrace biological processes. Fish condition and enrich the water for the plants. They are the essential first link in the chain of life. Fish food becomes the promise of a future harvest. Fish release ammonia, a potent threat and profound gift. In a conventional aquarium, ammonia is a poison. In aquaponics, ammonia is a valuable resource. It is the building block of the nutrient cycle, essential for plant growth. The steady production of ammonia is a gift to be passed along. This perspective shift is core to aquaponics. Fish create a nutrient-rich solution, not a toxic environment. Ammonia-laden water is the system's lifeblood. Our role is to transport this resource efficiently. Fish breath and waste are the currency of this miniature economy. Ammonia-rich water begins its journey to the garden. Plants in an inert medium await nourishment. Their roots are suspended in the flowing water, ready to absorb nutrients. Nitrogen compounds are essential for plant growth. Wastewater from the fish tank is a perfect nutrient solution. Plants act as a biofilter, purifying the water. Their roots strip the water of harmful compounds. The garden cleans and protects its aquatic partners. Purification is relentless, ensuring the survival of the fish. Plants feed themselves and ensure the health of the system. The role of the plants as a living filter goes beyond just the simple absorption of nitrates. The entire structure of the grow bed and the root systems within it creates a complex physical and biological filtration environment. As the water flows through the bed, the clay pebbles and the dense mat of roots act as a mechanical filter, trapping suspended solid waste particles that may have been pumped up from the tank. These solid wastes are then slowly broken down by heterotrophic bacteria and other microorganisms like earthworms, which can be intentionally added to the media. This process, known as mineralization, releases even more valuable nutrients, such as phosphorus and potassium, making them available to the plants over time. Furthermore, the roots themselves create a unique and highly oxygenated environment. While it may seem counterintuitive, plant roots require oxygen to survive and to efficiently absorb nutrients. The method of water delivery in many aquaponic systems, often a flood and drain cycle where the bed is periodically filled with water and then allowed to drain completely, is designed to draw fresh air down into the root zone. This ensures that the roots, as well as the beneficial bacterial colonies living on them, are never deprived of oxygen. This oxygen-rich root zone is a key reason why plants can grow so rapidly and healthily in an aquaponic system, often surpassing the growth rate seen in traditional soil gardening. This rooted sanctuary is therefore performing multiple essential tasks simultaneously. It is the system's primary nitrogen sink, its mechanical filter for solid waste, and a zone of active decomposition and mineralization. The plants are not just passive recipients of fertilizer, they are the active managers of the system's water quality. Their effectiveness at this job is directly visible. In a well-balanced aquaponic system, the water in the fish tank remains remarkably clear and healthy. often requiring far fewer water changes than a conventional aquarium of the same size. The plants are the guardians of the water's quality, the tireless janitors who keep the fish's home pristine. This powerful biofiltration capacity means that aquaponic systems can support a higher density of fish than traditional aquaculture setups without the need for complex and expensive filtration equipment. The garden itself is the filter. This synergy is what makes the system so efficient and elegant. There is no need for a separate biofilter component because the grow bed is already serving that purpose. Every element of the system is designed to perform multiple functions, creating a closed loop where the needs of one component are met by the outputs of another, minimizing waste and maximizing productivity in a way that beautifully mimics the efficiency of natural ecosystems. And so the circuit is completed. The water, now stripped of its nitrogen load and cleansed of solid particulates, flows from the grow bed and cascades back down into the fish tank below. This final step completes a perfect, self-contained loop that is the very definition of a symbiotic relationship. It is a continuous cycle of mutual benefit where two distinct organisms, living in two separate but connected environments, rely completely on each other for their survival and prosperity. The fish provide the raw nutrients, the plants provide the essential filtration, and the water acts as the messenger, the river that eternally connects their two worlds. It is a closed system in the truest sense of the word. This mutualistic relationship is a powerful demonstration of nature's core principles. In this loop, there is no such thing as waste. The concept itself is eliminated. The fish's excretions, a toxic burden in any other context, are transformed into a valuable asset. The plant's primary function of nutrient absorption, a simple act of self-preservation, becomes a life-saving service for their downstream neighbors. Each organism, by simply following its own biological imperatives, contributes to the health and stability of the whole. This elegant cycle of give and take is what allows the system to be so resilient, so efficient, and so incredibly productive, with minimal external inputs. This perfect partnership is what makes aquaponics so compelling, not just as a method for growing food, but as a living lesson in ecological design. It teaches us to think in terms of cycles, rather than linear processes of production and disposal. It shows that by intelligently pairing different species, we can create systems that largely regulate themselves, reducing the need for human intervention in the form of fertilizers, pesticides, and frequent water changes. The aquaponic gardener's main role is not to constantly fix problems, but to act as a steward, maintaining the balance and ensuring that this beautiful, self-sustaining loop continues to flow without interruption. Ultimately, the team of fish and plants is a model of perfect collaboration. They are two halves of a single, functioning organism. The fish cannot survive for long without the filtration services of the plants, and the plants cannot grow without the steady supply of nutrients from the fish. They are locked in a delicate and productive dance, a partnership that turns a simple fish tank and a small garden into something far greater than the sum of its parts. It becomes a miniature working ecosystem, a testament to the power and elegance of symbiosis, brought to life inside a simple box of glass and water. To create one of these remarkable worlds in your own home, one must begin with a clear and simple blueprint. Building an aquaponic system is not merely a construction project, it is the deliberate and thoughtful crafting of a complete habitat. Each component, carefully chosen and properly placed, plays a vital and interconnected role in the future health and stability of the whole. This assembly sequence is where the theory of symbiosis begins to take physical form, transforming a collection of inanimate objects, glass, plastic, and stone, into the vessel that will soon house a vibrant, thriving community of fish, plants, and their essential microscopic partners. It is a process that is both methodical and deeply rewarding. The journey starts with the foundational element of the aquatic realm, the fish tank itself. For a beginner looking to explore the world of aquaponics, a simple 10 to 20 gallon glass aquarium provides an excellent starting point. This size is large enough to create a stable aquatic environment, which is crucial for success. In these small-scale systems, stability is the ultimate key to resilience. A larger volume of water is more forgiving of minor fluctuations in temperature and water chemistry, acting as a buffer against the sudden changes that could stress the inhabitants of a smaller tank. This vessel must be placed on a sturdy, level surface capable of supporting the considerable weight of the water. Positioned directly above the tank is the second major component, the grow bed. This is where the garden will take root and flourish. For a small home system, a simple food-grade plastic tray or tub works perfectly. The most important consideration here is achieving a balance in volume between the grow bed and the fish tank below. A general rule of thumb for beginners is to aim for a ratio of roughly 1:1. This means that a 10-gallon fish tank should ideally be paired with a grow bed that can hold approximately 10 gallons of grow media. This balance ensures that the garden is large enough to effectively filter all the water for the fish living below. This two-tiered structure forms the basic architecture of our miniature ecosystem. The tank provides the home for the aquatic life, the engine that will produce the system's nutrients. The grow bed provides the space for the garden, the living filter that will purify the water and produce the harvest. The physical relationship between these two components is fundamental. The vertical arrangement with the grow bed situated above the tank allows for the elegant use of gravity. Water can be pumped up to the highest point and then allowed to flow back down naturally, completing the circuit with minimal energy and creating the continuous, life-sustaining loop that defines aquaponics. With the tank and grow bed in place, the next crucial decision involves what to fill the garden with. In this soil-free world, the grow bed is filled not with dirt, but with a carefully chosen inert medium. This material serves several critical functions. It provides the necessary structural support for the plant roots, anchoring them firmly in place as they grow. More importantly though, it serves as the primary real estate, the sprawling high-rise condominium complex, for the vast colonies of nitrifying bacteria that are the true engine of the system. The choice of media is therefore not just a structural one, it is an act of habitat creation for our most important invisible workers. One of the most popular and effective choices for beginners is expanded clay pebbles. These small reddish-brown spheres are made by heating clay to high temperatures, causing them to expand and become incredibly porous, kind of like a ceramic sponge. They are lightweight, which is ideal for home systems, and their neutral pH will not disrupt the delicate chemical balance of the water. Their most significant advantage is their immense surface area. Every tiny pore and crevice on each pebble provides a protected home for beneficial bacteria to colonize and thrive, transforming the entire grow bed into a massive, highly efficient biological filter. Before use, it is essential to rinse these pebbles thoroughly to remove any dust that could cloud the water. Another excellent option is clean, inert gravel, similar to what might be used in a traditional aquarium. Pea gravel is a common choice as it is inexpensive and readily available. It is important to ensure the gravel is pH neutral and has been washed thoroughly to remove any sand, silt, or other debris. While gravel does not possess the same vast internal porosity as expanded clay, its rough external surfaces still provide ample space for bacterial colonization. Its primary advantage is its weight, which can help to anchor larger plants more securely. However, this same weight can also be a disadvantage, making it a less suitable choice for larger systems or those where structural support is a concern. Regardless of the specific material chosen, its purpose remains the same: to create the perfect environment for both plant roots and bacteria to flourish. The medium must allow for excellent water flow and aeration, preventing stagnant zones where anaerobic bad bacteria could develop. It must be strong enough to support the plants but porous enough to allow their roots to spread out freely in search of water and nutrients. This foundation of life, though inert and non-nutritive itself, is the physical stage upon which the entire drama of nitrification and nutrient absorption will play out. It is the silent structural partner in this three-way symbiosis. Now that the structure is built and the bacterial habitat is prepared, we must give our system a pulse and a breath. This is achieved with two simple but vital pieces of equipment: a water pump and an air pump. The heart of the entire system is a small, inexpensive, submersible water pump. This device sits quietly at the bottom of the fish tank, and its sole job is to create the river that connects the two separate worlds. It provides the energy needed to overcome gravity, lifting the nutrient-rich water from the fish up to the grow bed where the plant roots and bacteria are waiting. Without this constant circulation, the symbiotic exchange would be impossible. The pump is connected to a length of flexible, food-safe vinyl or polyethylene tubing. This tubing acts as the system's primary artery, running from the pump's outlet up to the grow bed. The method of water distribution can be simple, such as allowing the water to flow out of the end of the tube, or more complex, using a drip ring or other manifold to distribute the water more evenly across the surface of the grow media. The pump is typically run on a timer, creating a flood and drain cycle where the bed fills with water and then drains completely, a process that pulls vital oxygen down into the root zone. This cyclical flow is the heartbeat of the ecosystem. While the water pump circulates the nutrients, the air pump provides the breath. An external aquarium air pump sits outside the tank and is connected via thin tubing to an air stone placed inside the tank. When turned on, the pump pushes air through the stone, which diffuses it into a continuous stream of fine bubbles. This process, known as aeration, is absolutely critical for the health of all the system's inhabitants. It ensures that the water remains saturated with dissolved oxygen, which the fish need to breathe. But just as importantly, the plant roots and the beneficial aerobic bacteria also require a high oxygen environment to perform their functions efficiently. This addition of oxygen is a non-negotiable requirement for a healthy system. The nitrifying bacteria we are trying to cultivate are aerobic, meaning they can only perform their chemical conversions in the presence of oxygen. A lack of oxygen would not only stress the fish but would also suffocate these vital bacterial colonies, causing the nitrification cycle to grind to a halt. Together, the water pump and the air pump function as the system's mechanical heart and lungs, providing the constant flow and life-giving oxygen that transform a static setup into a dynamic, living and breathing miniature ecosystem, ready for its first inhabitants. The habitat has now been fully built. The tank, grow bed, media, pump, and aerator are all in place. The water is flowing and the bubbles are rising. But it is not yet alive. It is a pristine but sterile environment, a stage without any actors. Before any fish can be safely introduced or any plants can be expected to thrive, the system must learn to breathe on its own. It must undergo a process known as cycling. This is a critical and often misunderstood waiting game, a period of patient observation that can last anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. It is during this time that we invite our invisible bacterial workforce to move in and set up shop. The cycling process begins by giving the bacteria a reason to show up. We must introduce a source of ammonia into the clean, empty system. This can be done in a couple of ways. The traditional method involves adding a few very hardy pioneer fish, like guppies, whose waste will kickstart the process. However, this can be stressful for the fish as they are exposed to the initial ammonia and nitrite spikes. A more modern and humane approach is known as fishless cycling. This involves adding a measured dose of pure, unscented ammonia directly to the water, providing the food source for the bacteria without putting any animals at risk. This is the call to action, the dinner bell for the nitrosomonas to begin their work. And so, the steward watches, waits, and tests. Using a simple aquarium water test kit, they can observe the invisible drama of nitrification unfolding within the water. The results reveal the story week by week. First, as predicted, the ammonia test will show a high reading. Then, as the first bacterial colonies of nitrosomonas take hold, the ammonia level will begin to fall. But this is immediately followed by a sharp spike in the nitrite reading, as the first bacteria convert ammonia into its more toxic byproduct. This is the most dangerous phase of the cycle, a clear sign that the first part of the process is working. Finally, after another week or two, the second wave of bacteria, the nitrobacter, establishes its population, and the nitrite levels too begin to fall. As they fall, they are replaced at last by the life-giving nitrates, which will show up as a positive reading on the nitrate test. The cycle is considered complete only when the system can fully process a dose of ammonia all the way down to 0 ammonia and 0 nitrite within a 24-hour period, leaving only nitrates behind. The engine is now running. The bacterial architects have finished their construction and the world is finally stable, safe, and ready for life. Once the aquaponics system is fully cycled and established, with fish swimming contentedly below and plants growing vigorously above, it enters a remarkably stable phase. This miniature world largely begins to care for itself. with the relentless cycles of nature doing most of the heavy lifting. The daily inputs required from the human operator are, honestly, wonderfully minimal, often consisting of little more than a pinch of high-quality fish food and occasionally topping off the water that's been lost to evaporation and plant transpiration. The ecosystem finds its own equilibrium, a peaceful state of productive harmony that can be immensely satisfying to witness and maintain. It is really a testament to the power of a well-designed, balanced system. However, no living system is entirely without its challenges, and this is where the role of the human transitions from that of a builder to that of a steward. The new responsibility is to become a watchful guardian, a keen observer who learns to read the subtle signs of imbalance before they escalate into significant problems. This role is less about active intervention and more about paying gentle attention. It involves noticing the slight changes in the color of a leaf, the subtle shifts in fish behavior, or the faint cloudiness in the water. These are the quiet messages the system sends, clues that a small adjustment may be needed to help it return to its optimal state of balance. One of the most common signals from the plant world is a change in leaf color, particularly in new growth. If new leaves emerge with a pale green or yellowish hue while the older leaves remain a deep, healthy green, it is often a classic sign of an iron deficiency. While the primary nutrients like nitrogen are abundantly supplied by the fish waste, certain micronutrients, including iron, are not typically present in sufficient quantities in most fish feeds. Iron is crucial for the production of chlorophyll, and its absence becomes immediately visible in the newest, most rapidly growing parts of the plant, a clear cry for a specific kind of nourishment that the cycle is not providing. Fortunately, solving this common problem is straightforward and requires only a gentle nudge from the steward. The solution is not a complex chemical fertilizer, but a simple, periodic supplement of chelated iron. Chelated iron is a form that remains stable and available for plants to absorb in the typical pH range of an aquaponics system. Adding a small, measured amount directly to the fish tank every few weeks is usually all that's needed to address the deficiency. Within a few days, the yellowing leaves will regain their vibrant green color, a clear and satisfying visual confirmation that the steward has correctly interpreted the system's signal and restored the necessary balance. The health and behavior of the fish are another critical barometer for the overall well-being of the entire ecosystem. As the engines of the system, their vitality is, honestly, paramount. If the fish are observed gasping for air at the water's surface, it is an immediate and urgent distress signal that must not be ignored. This behavior, known as piping, is a clear indication that the water is crying out for more dissolved oxygen, or that it has been suddenly burdened by a toxic spike in ammonia or nitrite levels. It is a sign that the delicate equilibrium within the aquatic portion of the habitat has been temporarily disrupted and requires a swift and thoughtful response from the steward. The most common cause of this behavior is simple overfeeding. When more food is added to the tank than the fish can consume, the uneaten food sinks to the bottom and begins to decompose. This decomposition process consumes a great deal of dissolved oxygen and simultaneously releases a sudden burst of ammonia, overwhelming the bacterial colony's ability to process it quickly. The result is a double-edged sword: less oxygen to breathe and more poison in the water. The solution, therefore, is rarely drastic or chemical. The first step is to check that the aeration system is functioning correctly, ensuring the air stone is producing a steady stream of fine bubbles. Following this simple check, the steward's response should be one of restraint. Reducing the amount of fish food given at the next few feedings is the most effective course of action. This gives the bacterial colonies time to catch up and process the excess ammonia, and allows the oxygen levels in the water to recover and stabilize. It is a gentle correction that addresses the root cause of the problem rather than just treating the symptoms. Within a day or two of more modest feeding and ensured aeration, the fish will typically be seen swimming normally and comfortably throughout the entire water column once again, a clear sign that the aquatic peace has been restored. This scenario highlights a core principle of the steward's role: less is often more. The instinct to add more things, more food, more supplements, more interventions, can often do more harm than good. A successful aquaponics steward learns to trust the system's inherent ability to find its balance again with only minor adjustments. By observing carefully, identifying the underlying cause of an issue, and responding with a light and patient touch, they can guide the ecosystem back to health without resorting to disruptive, heavy-handed measures. The goal is always to support the natural cycle, not to override it with unnecessary interference and chemical fixes. Just like any garden, the lush, green world of the aquaponic grow bed can sometimes attract unwanted visitors. You know, a closer look might reveal a small colony of tiny aphids clustered on the tender stem of a lettuce plant, or maybe some fine webbing that hints at the presence of spider mites. In a conventional garden, the immediate response might be to reach for a bottle of chemical pesticide to eradicate the problem. Here, however, the philosophy of aquaponics reveals its true elegance and its unyielding commitment to the health of the entire system. The use of conventional chemical pesticides is absolutely forbidden, as it would be a swift and certain death sentence for all inhabitants. These toxic chemicals are indiscriminate. A spray designed to kill aphids would inevitably drip down into the grow media and be carried by the water directly into the fish tank. Such a poison would not only kill the pests, but would also annihilate the fish, and, just as critically, wipe out the beneficial bacterial colonies that form the biological engine of the entire system. The introduction of such a toxin would cause a complete and catastrophic collapse, turning the vibrant living ecosystem back into a sterile and lifeless collection of hardware. Therefore, the steward must learn to think like nature, employing solutions that solve one problem without creating another, far greater one. The solutions are found in the principles of integrated pest management, which prioritize natural and biological controls. For many common pests, a simple, gentle spray made from neem oil, a natural derivative of the neem tree, can act as a powerful deterrent and repellent without harming the core system. It disrupts the insect's life cycle and makes the plants unpalatable to them. For more direct intervention, a simple spray of soapy water can be effective against soft-bodied insects like aphids. These methods must be used carefully, ensuring minimal runoff into the system, but they offer a first line of defense that really respects the system's delicate balance. Better still is the elegant solution of introducing a natural predator to restore the balance. This is biological control in its purest form. If aphids are the problem, the steward can introduce a few ladybugs onto the affected plants. These beneficial insects actively hunt and consume the aphids, efficiently cleaning the plants without any chemicals whatsoever. This approach reinforces the core idea of the ecosystem, creating a balanced community where problems are solved from within. The balance is restored without ever breaking the fundamental, life-sustaining pact of this miniature world, keeping the peace in the most natural way possible. And so, after weeks of patient stewardship, of watching and waiting, of nurturing the invisible and tending to the visible, the cycle finally completes itself in the most satisfying way imaginable. The ultimate reward for this diligent partnership with nature is the harvest. With a pair of scissors, crisp, vibrant leaves of lettuce and fragrant stems of basil are snipped directly from the grow bed. The produce is immaculate, full of life, and carries with it the profound satisfaction of having been grown not just by human hands, but through a collaborative effort between fish, plants, and bacteria. This is food that tells a story of connection, balance, and the surprising productivity of a well-tended miniature world. Here in a simple bowl is a salad of unparalleled freshness, its ingredients harvested only moments before being eaten. There is no long journey from a distant farm, no days or weeks spent in refrigerated transport losing nutritional value. This is food at its peak, grown in a system free from chemical pesticides, herbicides, and synthetic fertilizers. It is the direct result of a clean, natural process, nourished by the simple, honest waste of its aquatic partners. The taste itself seems to reflect this purity, a crispness and flavor that is a testament to the health of the ecosystem from which it emerged. The harvest is not just food, it is the tangible, edible proof that the system is working in perfect harmony. Beyond the personal satisfaction of growing one's own food, this harvest represents something far more significant. Here is produce that has been cultivated using a tiny fraction of the resources demanded by its soil-bound counterparts. In a world where fresh water is becoming an increasingly precious and contested commodity, the efficiency of aquaponics is nothing short of revolutionary. This closed-loop system constantly recirculates its own lifeblood, the water that flows from fish to plant and back again. The only water lost is through evaporation, and the small amount taken up by the plants themselves, resulting in a system that can use up to 90% less water than traditional soil-based agriculture. This remarkable water efficiency makes the harvest not just a meal, but a statement. It is a demonstration of a more responsible way of growing, a method that respects planetary limits and works within them. Every leaf of lettuce, every sprig of mint, is a small victory for conservation. It showcases how, by mimicking nature's clever cycles, we can achieve abundance without excess, and productivity without plunder. The simple act of harvesting from a home aquaponics system is a direct participation in a more sustainable model of food production, a model that holds immense promise for a future that will demand more from less. This small, elegant system, thriving quietly in the corner of a living room or on a sunlit balcony, is so much more than just a novel way to grow a salad. It is a powerful working model of efficiency and resilience. It is a living prototype, a miniature and tangible example of what a more sustainable and localized food future could look like. Every complete cycle of water, every nutrient converted from waste to food, is a lesson in ecological design. It proves that the principles of symbiosis and closed-loop systems are not just abstract scientific concepts, but practical, scalable solutions that can be applied to some of the most pressing challenges of our time, particularly within our rapidly expanding urban landscapes. As we zoom out from this single home system, we can see its core principles being applied on a much grander scale. Larger-scale urban aquaponics operations are beginning to take root in our cities. Imagine a rooftop farm, its green towers of lettuce and herbs flourishing against a backdrop of skyscrapers, transforming unused space into a productive oasis. Or a repurposed warehouse, its cavernous interior now filled with vertical racks of vibrant greens, illuminated by efficient LED lights and nourished by large tanks of fish below. These are not futuristic fantasies. They are real, functioning farms that bring food production directly into the heart of the communities they serve. In our modern, sprawling cities, healthy, fertile soil is an increasingly scarce resource, often paved over by concrete and asphalt. The conventional food system often requires our meals to travel hundreds or even thousands of miles to reach our plates, a journey that consumes vast amounts of fossil fuels and results in significant food waste and nutrient loss. Systems like aquaponics offer a tantalizing glimpse of a different path forward. They represent a future of hyper-local urban farms sprouting in vacant lots and buildings, of community gardens on rooftops reducing food miles to food feet, and of a populace that is more connected to and knowledgeable about where its food comes from. This is not just about technology, it is about empowerment. In neighborhoods designated as food deserts where access to fresh, healthy produce is limited, aquaponics can be a revolutionary tool. Communities like those in places such as East Oakland, California, or Milwaukee, Wisconsin, are building community-scale aquaponic systems to take control of their own food security. They are not just growing vegetables, they are cultivating self-reliance, creating educational opportunities, and building stronger, healthier, and more resilient communities from the ground up, one harvest and one fish at a time. This small system is a seed from which a new urban agriculture can grow. Ultimately, the journey of building and stewarding an aquaponics system is a powerful and humbling reminder of a fundamental truth. It teaches us that the most elegant and enduring solutions are often found not in trying to reinvent the world or impose our will upon it, but in remembering, respecting, and replicating the way it already works. Nature has already perfected the art of sustainable living over billions of years of trial and error. The intricate dance of the nitrogen cycle, the perfect symbiosis between producer and consumer, the core principle of no-waste systems. These are not new ideas. They are ancient, time-tested pacts that have sustained life on this planet for eons. By bringing one of nature's most perfect and ancient partnerships into our homes, we do something more profound than simply growing food. We create a living classroom in a box of glass and water. It offers a daily, observable lesson in biology, chemistry, and ecology. It demystifies the food system and reconnects us, in a small but tangible way, to the fundamental cycles of life and death, consumption and creation. It fosters a sense of responsibility and care, teaching us to observe patiently and act thoughtfully. In a world of increasing abstraction and digital distraction, it grounds us in the real, physical processes that sustain us. This miniature ecosystem becomes a source of quiet contemplation and endless fascination. Watching the fish explore their habitat, seeing a new leaf unfurl, and knowing that they are all part of a single, interconnected system provides a unique and deep-seated satisfaction. It is a constant, living testament to the beauty and ingenuity of nature's design. It serves as a personal, daily reminder that we are not separate from the natural world, but an integral part of it. The act of maintaining this balance, of becoming a steward for this tiny world, echoes the larger stewardship we must all undertake for the health of our shared planet. The principles that make a small aquaponics system thrive are the very same principles that sustain life on a global scale. In a world searching for answers to complex problems, this humble fish tank and garden offers more than just a harvest. By nurturing this small partnership, we don't just grow food, we cultivate hope,